Hey folks, I have your latest home prices and insights for week ending October 12th. But first, let's talk about mortgage fraud. Marketplace just did a show, unbelievable. They exposed mortgage fraud and got into some details of how it works. Unbelievable. One side of me was like, yes, I was watching the show going, yes, yes, yes. Look what they've uncovered. Look what they've shown. Things that we've known, realtors have known for a long, long time. But one side of me was upset just watching this thing. What? He said what? So here's my take on the show. I really, really hope this kind of gets the ball rolling to stop this. It exposes it out to the world. And I hope the people that can do something about this actually do something about this now that it's in their face. So let's talk about some of these people. And you saw it in the show. RECO, the Real Estate Council of Ontario, RECO, our governing body, basically said no comment. Why didn't RECO instead say, thank you, Marketplace, give us the evidence so we could march it to the police and we could know who these people are? Scotiabank, one of their employees was caught making fake documents. And then when Scotiabank comments, they just say, oh, that employee is no longer with us. Now I understand, confidentiality and so forth, but why didn't Scotiabank say, oh, give us more of the evidence because we want to really deal with this employee and march this mortgage fraud, fraudulent financial documents. We want to send it all to the police. The broker of record, unbelievable. The broker of record. Now, if you've done any transaction, selling or buying, you know that the listing agreement and the buyer representation agreement, in a sense, the clients are hiring the brokerage via the realtor, but they're hiring the brokerage. So this brokerage name is on every one of these documents of selling and buying, every one of these transactions. And the broker of records comment was, I'm not aware of this. If it is, it's a small percentage. What? Why didn't the broker of record say, please, Marketplace, give me the information, show me the evidence, because I want to march it down to the police station? Like, this is fraud. It's illegal. And one thing is going to jail. I mean, it's fraud at a high level. But what about also being financially responsible? You've got the clients that, in this case, those clients, look, they were maybe not wanting to participate and were kind of tricked into participating into this mortgage fraud. Those clients should not be the only ones on the financial hook should the deal go south. The realtor that suckered them into that should be part of that financial responsibility, and the brokerage should be part of that responsibility. But make no mistake, there are clients that directly look for this kind of mortgage. They deal in a cash business and they're not declaring all their money. So they are looking for ways of getting mortgages that circumvent the traditional, let me fill out an application and hope I qualify method. So good for Marketplace. I really hope the people out there that can do something about this actually wake up and do something now. If you think this video can benefit somebody please pass it along. Let's get into the numbers. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you. This way, I'll know ahead of time and I'll make sure my schedule's organized so we can talk about whatever's on your mind. Let's get into the numbers. There's lots going on. How far are we from reaching 2018, 2019 prices? We're going to look at that first before we get into our regular weekly programming here. So the chart I have on the board here is summarized by month. Each of these numbers here is by month. I've got September 22 as the last full month completed. We're going all the way back to 2018. So we've got several years of numbers here. And the black is every September by year all the way back to September 2018. So for September 2022, 497 detached properties were sold across the city of Toronto. Detached properties only I'm looking at, and just for the city of Toronto. There's no suburbs here like Mississauga, Brampton, York Region, Durham. They're not part of this. It's just the city of Toronto and only for detached properties. 497 detached properties were sold. When we compare to August and July, look, it's not that far off. July we sold 477. August we sold 511. So September, 497 detached properties were sold. Average sold price has come down a little bit from where we were in August. August, the average sold price was $1,648,000. For September, the average sold price is $1,586,000. So let me cut right to the chase here. What does it take to get where we are now for prices to be back to 2018, 2019 levels? Well, when I did this type of video a few months ago, we were talking 30%, 40% maybe, but things have changed now because prices have come down a bit more. We're really off by 14 to 15%. So if where we are now, 1,586,000, if that price drops another 14 or 15%, we will be at 2018, 2019 prices. I say 2018, 2019 because average sold prices between those 2 years didn't change much. So 14, 15% drop from where we are now gets us back to prices where they were 4 years ago. So possible? Well, look, we've already come down 20, 25, 30% from the peak. 15%, 14% doesn't seem like that big of a mountain to get over to be able to get prices back to where they were 4 years ago. So imagine 4 years of gains wiped out with this whole market that we're in right now. And we're just starting to get into rates going up, and we haven't seen the full effect of that. We're just starting to get into this economy. But we do have supply and demand issues. So look, I'm not saying what's going to happen because I don't know and nobody knows for sure. But I'm just putting the numbers out there for you to think about and reach your own conclusions. Months of inventory. When we go back a year ago, September 2021, we're at 1.3. October, November, December, January, this is where prices went just absolutely nuts. Well, through the course of this year, we can see months of inventory climbing. For the month of September, months of inventory is at 3 months of inventory, getting very close to what we call a balanced market. But overall, it kind of does feel like we've been in a balanced market for several months now. Okay, let's get into our regular program. We're still with the City of Toronto, still talking only about detached properties for now. But the chart here is for 1 year, broken down by week. So we could see what's happening a little bit closer to where we are today. So this is for week ending October 12th. 122 detached properties were sold, which is pretty similar, not that far off from what we've been doing over the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. 19 sold at $2 million or more. And I'm stressing that because that's way down from the previous week. We sold the previous week, week ending October 5th, 32 detached properties were sold at $2 million or more. 1 week later, week ending October 12th, only 19 were sold. Well, for sure that has a huge effect on average sold price, which came down considerably from where we were the previous week. Average sold price for week ending October 12th is sitting at $1,466,000, which is 12% lower than last year's average sold price. The blue, that's last year's average numbers. The orange is this year. This year we sold 19 at $2 million or more, 19 detached properties. The same week last year we sold 46 detached properties at $2 million or more. So average sold price is 12% lower. Median price is 11% lower than where the median price was a year ago. Median price now is sitting at $1,210,000. We've got the average sold price here. We've got the median price here. When we look at it on a weekly basis, we're going to see lots of peaks and valleys. The dotted line by each of these graphs here, that's the 4-week moving average. So the dotted line sometimes makes it a bit easier sometimes to spot trends, just because it takes a 4-week moving average and there's less peaks and valleys. But what we get sometimes with the dotted line is that it's sluggish to respond quickly. So, the numbers that we're looking at each serve different purposes. We could see kind of average sold price. Looks like it's creeping up a little bit, but we see it coming down over the last few weeks here. And the same thing with the median price. It's going up and then starting to come down quite a bit. Compared to last year, we have 31% fewer sales for detached properties in Toronto this year. 31% fewer sales versus a year ago, and 29% of the 122 that sold at list price or more. Listings, 8% fewer listings. 296 were listed for week ending October 12th. And for the fall market, it's pretty much on par. Actually, if we go back 3 months, listings are pretty much on par over these last little while than what we were listing last year. Months of inventory is sitting at 2.4. And if we go back to the end of August, 2.4, 2.5 kind of seems the norm as far as months of inventory go. And that's why you don't see much of a fluctuation in price. Let's look at Toronto broken down into sections. I've got Central, the green here, that's the West Toronto, and the burgundy is East Toronto. We could see what's happening with prices and other activity there. Zooming in on West Toronto, 41 detached properties were sold. 4 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price came way down. It is now at $1,314,000. 1314 is 11% lower than last year's average sold price in West Toronto. Median price is also 11% lower than where the median price was a year ago. Median price is sitting at $1,150,000. Months of inventory sitting at 2.9. That's for West Toronto. 22% of the properties sold in West Toronto sold at list price or more. Here's Central Toronto, and we get huge peaks and valleys as far as the chart goes in Central Toronto, just because that's where the lion's share of the luxury properties are. So 25 detached properties were sold, 12 sold at $2 million or more. Average sold price it came down from the previous week, sitting at $2,268,000. $2,268,000 is 4% lower than last year's average sold price. The median price of $1,940,000 is 5% lower than last year's median price. Months of inventory for Central Toronto sitting at 4.7 months of inventory. Very much in a balanced market. And for many, depending on what you're bidding on or what you're selling, you kind of feel like it's in a buyer's market, a lot of these areas. Only 12% of the properties sold in Central Toronto sold at list price or more. So here's East Toronto. 56 detached properties were sold. 3 of those sold at $2 million or more. So we get more activity normally in East Toronto than other parts of Toronto. Average sold price has been coming down over the last 4 weeks. Average price for week ending October 12th for East Toronto is $1,221,000, which is 7% lower than last year's average sold price. Median price is 11% lower than last year's median price. Months of inventory for East Toronto sitting at 1.1. Feels, and in many situations you're going to feel like you're in a seller's market. And I mean, 1.1 months of inventory is quite low still. 41% of the properties sold in East Toronto. So 41% sold at list price or more. There's still lots of competition in East Toronto. Prices have come down, but at the level they're at now, it's aggressive out there when it comes to East Toronto. I'm thinking East York and Scarborough. East York Beaches, Scarborough, that's East Toronto. Here's a quick summary. So when we break Toronto down this way, west, central, and east, east normally has the highest sales. It has the lowest average sold price, the lowest median price. It has the lowest days on market. It has the lowest months of inventory. Let's look at semi. Here's a quick summary here. 42 semi-detached properties were sold. 8 of those were sold at $1.5 million or more. I changed the threshold for luxury properties from detached. Detached is at $2 million. For semis and towns, I bring it down a bit to $1.5 million. And for condos, I put that number more at $1 million for luxury properties. So 8 of those sold at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price for a semi, $1,201,000, which is 9% lower than last year's average sold price. Median price is 1% lower than last year's median price for semi-detached properties. Months of inventories for semis is sitting at 1.5, and of the 42 that sold, 43% sold at list price or more. Townhouses. There's very few sales in townhouses. These are freehold townhouses, and that's why you get these crazy peaks and valleys. So 13 townhouses were sold. 4 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price jumped way up to $1,346,000, which is still 3% lower than last year's average sold price. The median price for townhouses of $1,150,000 is 7% lower than last year's median price. Months of inventory, it's been climbing the last few weeks. It's now sitting at 1.8 months of inventory for townhouses, and less than a third, 31% sold at list price or more. Condos. Condos is a whole different world. 157 condos were sold. 13 of those were at $1 million or more. And if we could just look at this for a second, sales, although they peaked middle of September at 190, they've been coming down slightly each week to where we're now at 157 being sold in a week. And also the amount of condos selling at $1 million or more has been coming down. We were at 20, then 23, 18, and for October 12th, we're at 13 condos selling at $1 million or more. Average sold price has also been coming down over the same period. If we look at the recent high of $800,000 as the average sold price, well, it's been coming down each week. We're now at $740 as the average sold price. $740 is 1% higher than last year's average sold price. I'm surprised that we're actually higher, just because this year we sold 13 condos at $1 million or more. Last year at the same week, we sold 37 condos at $1 million or more. I would expect in that scenario, last year's average sold price to be much more. Median price is 2% higher than last year's median price. Median price for condos in the city of Toronto is $665,000. Year-to-date sales, we have 32% fewer sales this year versus last year, year-to-date, and 25%, a quarter of those condos that sold at list price or more. Listings for condos, 9% fewer condo listings year-to-date this year versus last year, and months of inventory has been climbing. It's now sitting at 3.9 months of inventory. And we had the high here, high sevens, 800,000. I'll call it a recent high as far as average sold price. Months of inventory has been climbing slightly Average sold price has been coming down slightly. That's behaving the way we would expect it to behave. As months of inventory goes up, prices will tend to come down. And average days on market for condos is sitting at 23. Here's a summary of months of inventory. You know, it's so very specific. This is a summary of all the areas and all the different house types, but the market is so very specific as to the price point you're looking at, the house type you're looking at, if you're looking to buy or if you're looking to sell, same idea. You know, how busy is it? How active is it? Somebody really, a realtor, a real estate consultant really needs to look at your specific situation if you're looking to transact and figure out what's happening in the market that's important to you or relative to what you're looking to do. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.